Welcome back, everybody, to the show this evening. I want to start with a clip of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that I keep thinking about because I think he thought he was doing something very clever here with Trump, but it comes off so wrong to me, especially given the context we'll get into. And listen, before playing the clip, some people are saying after recent Bobby hearings and decisions and the gutting of investments in research for medical advancements, that maybe wasn't the best idea to put brain worm Bobby. Has anyone said that before? Brain worm Bobby. Other people are saying this. I came up with it, but other people are saying it. Bobby in charge of Health and Human Services, the guy who told that bizarre story of getting a bear carcass and then just leaving it in Central Park. The guy who just recently jumped into sewage water because he's strong and he's powerful. That maybe that wasn't the best idea. Like, in terms of ideas, maybe it wasn't the best, is what some people are arguing. I can't say. It's difficult to say, but a lot to go through. Let's start with this, where during Trump's pharmaceutical announcement, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is saying, see, Trump is so unbought that he received $100 million from the big pharma. And he's saying it like, see, even that much money doesn't persuade Trump. But it comes off so humiliating to me where Trump's sort of like, yeah, why are you saying that, Robert? Robert, don't remind them of that. They might become skeptical of what I'm doing here, which I'll make the case maybe is not as good as we wish that it could have been. But here's the clip.
President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry, too. I think they gave you $100 million. Yeah.
Sorry, I'll play the clip. It's so funny. Trump's like, yeah. Bobby, he pinches him. Yep, that's right, Bobby.
President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry, too. I think they gave you $100 million. Yeah. But he can't be bought, unlike most of the politicians in this country. And he is standing here for the American people.
You know, I've actually heard this at rallies where Trump supporters will say, one of the things I love about Trump is he doesn't accept money from any donors because he's so rich and he promised he was going to fund his own campaign. But then that's not true. If he's so rich that he could fund his own campaign, why is he sending you emails? I saw recently one that said, if you love me, you'll click on this. Literally, if you love me, you'll click on this. If you're ever starting a text, a fundraising email, or just a message to someone in your life with, if you love me, anything, if you love me, ... something's wrong, okay? You don't want to propose such statements. But why is he fundraising from y'all so much? And why is he taking so much money from different big interests? As do Democrats as well, obviously. But just that logic doesn't connect. And then while he's trying to say, Trump's so unbought that even when he accepts $100 million, if that's the figure, he still does what's in your interest. And that gets to this executive order. We've already talked about it a good bit. I won't spend a ton of time on this, but all of my vitriol, let's call it, towards the Trump administration, I'm rooting for them to lower prescription drug costs. If they can actually do it, hooray, we'll give them credit and we'll move forward. But as so often you hear me say, we have to see if this actually works because he tried the exact same thing in his first term and it didn't work because it didn't have teeth, which makes you wonder, was that $100 million a way? Some could believe that maybe Trump's making this announcement because he knows it doesn't have teeth. I don't know. Sounds a little conspiratorial to me, okay? But as I started with, some people are saying that, whereas Trump says. So the Daily Beast reports Trump's earth-shattering announcement is a policy from his first term. The president is reviving a Trump 1.0 policy that aimed but failed to solve one of the country's most intractable issues. So either he failed once, he's doing it again, but this time it's going to work. And if it does, I will credit him. Or he saw it not work. He loves his big pharma buddies and he's fine with the idea of this falling flat again. It's one of those options. And I'll give it to you straight either way. I might be gay, but I'll give it to you straight. The Washington Post also reports Trump's plan to lower U.S. drug prices contains threats, but few teeth. And this led to pharmaceutical companies' stocks surging right after the announcement. What? If this was going to really hold accountable Big Pharma, why would they be excited about this? President Donald Trump signed an executive order Monday that aims to coax pharmaceutical companies into offering lower prices in the United States, taking a historically broad swipe at the cost of medicine, but without clear mechanisms for providing fast relief to patients. And quickly, if we jump down here, the order is out and overall is okay. An analyst at Jefferies Research wrote in a note to clients Monday, there's clearly no mechanism for implementing any MFN model, he wrote, referring to most favored nations pricing. So given the dishonesty of Trump, you got to be extra skeptical of this. Wait, it didn't work last time. And he's not actually pushing to enshrine this in a legislative way that would actually change federal law such that it could have teeth. Is this all just for show? That's the concern I have, and I think is becoming more and more likely. But we will see. And I think RFK saying that in the clip that you saw is that much more of a reminder that we should be skeptical. I'm so sick of people giving Trump preemptive credit, taking credit for, in some cases, as he's going across the world and as he's done with domestic policy, taking credit for things that in many cases have developed over years before he got here. But then he's just a really good brander. He is. And so people believe and they give him credit and political capital for things that haven't actually been accomplished. And RFK Jr., while trying to compliment him, reminded us of exactly why we should be so skeptical. So that's my case, okay? But RFK Jr.'s had a really bad last few days. This moment, it just is wrong, okay? It's just wrong in so many ways, even though, again, he's trying to defend the Medicaid cuts, which is already a bad place to be. And then he throws out, no, you could get a rehab very affordably for like $40,000 a month. You know, like cheap. Oh, Bobby, brainworm Bobby.
Understanding is that the private rehab facility, like the one that you went to, would cost in today's dollar for that same treatment over $286,000 out of pocket just for.
My goodness, what? Now that's rehab right there. If I really hope I am never, because and this is serious. Addicted to drugs or alcohol, needing to go to rehab. But if I happen to get in that situation, send me to that rehab, please. And somebody else pay for it, okay? If you appreciate the show, please do click the subscribe button. That's easy. That's free. The join button below makes you a member. That's a step further. And then if you're anywhere in the Austin area, in Texas, and you want to drive, or even further, who knows? Some crazy fans might do the whole trip across the country, then go to lukebeasleyshow.com/live to get tickets to our live show in Austin, July 5th, where I'll be meeting y'all and discussing the issues. Like Bobby's brainworm. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I feel bad. I do. I shouldn't have said that. I take it back. I'm going to say it again, but I take it back right now. I'm serious. I feel bad. That's a real thing. I think it's only as our, contributor, Brittany Page mentioned, he used it to justify not having to pay some money to his ex-wife. So I think it's fair game.
Understanding is that the private rehab facility, like the one that you went to, would cost in today's dollar for that same treatment over $286,000 out of pocket just for addiction treatment that I think we can all agree, Republican and Democrat, is absolutely necessary to make sure that we're keeping our communities safe. I bring this up because
there are, Congressman, there are many really gold star rehabs that do it for a tiny fraction, like $20,000 to $40,000 a month.
Mm-hmm. There you go. I bring this up because in my community, the average salary is $40,000. So most folks in my community can't even afford $20,000 or $40,000 per month.
Yeah, I have. Oh, you're looking for an apartment? I found these great apartments that you can get for a tiny fraction. I think it's like 40 a month, 20 a month, I think. Yeah. So that should be good for most of y'all, right? Bobby, come on. How do you not hear that? He goes 20 to 40,000 a month. And then he just sits his hand on his face. Look at this.
Tiny fraction, like $20,000 to $40,000 a month.
There you go.
Now, this is all so serious because what he's defending and what's being debated here is the cuts to people's health care, health insurance, and necessary life-saving coverage. And with so little connection to the realities of people's lives, that's such an out-of-touch moment. And the detachment from the pain that people are feeling and that could be induced with this Republican budget if it gets through in its current form, it's humiliating to watch those defenses. At another moment that we didn't get to talk about yesterday, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy exchanged some words with Bobby.
Appropriated by Congress for the purpose of vaccination programs. That is not what happened. You've done the opposite. You canceled $12 billion in grants to the states, including my state, that are used to administer and track vaccines. You promised Chairman Cassidy.
When did I do that?
Madam Chair, would you allow me to finish my question?
Keep going with your question.
When did I do that?
Let me finish my question.
Accusation. Just tell me when I did it so I can understand what the question is.
You have canceled $12 billion in public health grants to states, whether you know this or not. That funding is used by the states in part to be able to administer and dispense information about vaccines. Let me give you, Mr. Secretary. Let me give you the full panoply of
accusation.
Panoply. Vocab word.
The things you said before this committee that didn't turn out to be true. You also promised Chairman Cassidy that the FDA would not change vaccine standards from, quote, historical norms. But what happened as soon as you were sworn in? You announced new standards for vaccine approvals that you proudly referred to in your own press release as a radical departure from current practice. And experts say that that departure will delay approvals. You also said, specific to the measles vaccine, that you support the measles vaccine. But you have consistently been undermining the measles vaccine. You told the public that the vaccine wanes very quickly. You went on the Dr. Phil show and said that the measles vaccine was never fully tested for safety. You said there's fetal debris in the measles vaccine. And this morning—
All true.
This morning in front of—
Do you want me to lie to the public?
That's not— none of that is—
Of course it's true. Of course it's true, Senator. You're a senator begging your product. You do not know what you're talking about.
You know what's interesting? Yesterday, we talked about that clip of him saying, "Don't take medical advice from me." And we found it strange. I mean, kind of true, but strange given the position that he's in. But then now he's confident he knows about the ins and outs of this science. When he is getting things, we covered at least the third point that was made there in previous segments, and how they get themselves there utterly dishonestly. And so then he's fine with us taking his medical knowledge, right? So it's fine whenever it's him lying about there's fetuses in your vaccine. That's what a vaccine is. It's just a fetus that you inject into you, if you can imagine, which is not at all the case, or debris, or however he's wording it. But then when it comes to him giving advice on if you should take vaccines that he says he believes are safe now in this position, he won't give advice, and you can't come to him on it, please.
For the record,
Let's have a little bit of order so that you can get
Madam
your
Chair,
question
I'm
and he can get
I didn't
his
ask. I didn't ask for a response yet.
I
I'd
understand
like to
that.
lay out the predicate of my question before I'm interrupted by the witness. He should
Go
have some
ahead.
respect for this committee.
Go ahead.
Just this morning in front of the House of Representatives, you also said that you, in fact, would not recommend that kids get vaccinated for measles. You said you would just lay out the pros and cons. Okay, so this is the summation of everything that you have said to compromise people's faith in the measles vaccine in particular is contrary to what you said before this committee. You said you support the measles vaccine, but then you have laid out a set of facts that are contested, and I will submit information for the record from experts who contest what you've said about the vaccine.
So I think you get the point. Taking him to task brutally. Now, one of the things that he has denied or pled ignorance on in the past is the overseeing of cuts to crucial investments. There's a New York Times article about something really hopeful. The baby is healed with the world's first personalized gene editing treatment, which led to people saying, oh, wow, see what advancements that are based on investments in medical research and scientific research can do. And maybe this is a bad time to be cutting off such research. But nevertheless, CNN reporting Trump administration cut $2.7 billion in NIH research funding through March, Senate Committee Minority Report says. And so I've seen them kind of get uncomfortable when people bring up those cuts, because I think most reasonable people, right and left, get that when you start pulling back on life-saving research, then future lives won't be saved. But then RFK gets asked about it and goes, "Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, in my department? Oh, news to me."
Since his appointment in February, Kennedy has facilitated sweeping cuts for programs and staffers alike. You proposed more than $11 billion in cuts to local and state programs addressing things like infectious disease, mental health, addiction, and childhood vaccination. Did you personally approve those cuts?
No, I'm not familiar with those cuts. We'd have to go. We'd have to go.
There's like more than 50 pages of cuts that I actually went through.
The cuts were mainly DEI cuts, which the president.
There were a lot, but I'll give you, for example, about $750,000 of a University of Michigan grant into adolescent diabetes was cut. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, and that's.
Oh.
Why are you the way that you are?
Yeah, truly. Well, then why then? What are you for? Hey, excuse me, Bobby. What is your purpose? What are we supposed to use you for? I'm the Health and Human Services Secretary, but I keep spewing falsehoods. And also, when asked about medical advice, say, "Don't ask me." And also get asked about cuts in my department and say, "Really? Oh, diabetes, really? Wow, that's bad. Who cut that?" You did, sir? Well, me. I almost just said the whole word. That was funny. I tried to self-censor. Well, me. There we go. That's the life-saving investments. Those are gone? Huh. Well, that sounds bad. You should fire whoever's doing that. Oh, me? No, not me. It was DEI. It was DEI, for sure, DEI. And that's going to be on Medicaid, on NIH, grants drying up. That's going to be the excuses. DEI, it was woke, and meanwhile, people's lives will be ruined. And that's why I just don't believe that that's going to work as an argument, as people see their health insurance taken away. Being told, "Oh, well, you were, woke. I don't know. Wait, you were, what's the excuse? Waste, fraud, and abuse." None of those are going to work as arguments to the people whose lives are being upended. And then people who know them, which is going to be like everybody if they get through the cuts that they're pushing for. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Get the bonus show, as I referenced earlier, by the join button below.